Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Recovery Classroom. My name is Drew. I am an alcoholic, and today I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I could not be any more grateful. I want to take a quick minute, thank our friends in the treatment facility that we visited last night. If you guys are watching this morning in the big room there on the YouTube channel, I want to thank you guys for letting us come in and hang out with you guys on a Tuesday night. It was incredible. It was fun, and you guys kept us sober one more night, so we couldn't be any more appreciative of that. Thank you for the topics and the questions that you submitted to last night's meeting. We had so many. I think we got through like 6 or 7 topics, and we still had like 6 or 7 topics left over that we weren't able to discuss last night. So Dren and I kind of split them up again. We were kind of doing a bantering and a bartering, trading back and forth last night before we left the meeting. And so I saw she just posted her monologue. I wanted to start on my list of topics that I got from last night to cover. And the first topic I want to talk about today is frothy emotional appeal. That was what was written on the topic card. And what does that mean? You may have heard that phrase, frothy emotional appeal. You may have heard it in the rooms. You may have heard it from different rooms, across different rooms. Where that phrase comes from, it comes from the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, specifically Roman numeral 24 in the doctor's opinion. And to give you a little bit more context, there's a little bit more to that sentence, actually, that phrase. Frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. See, Dr. William Silkworth, he was the doctor who treated Bill Wilson in Towns Hospital in New York in 34 and 35. 34 anyway, 1934. And so he wrote the doctor's opinion, and in that specific line, frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices, what he's saying there is no matter how hard you try to connect and to communicate a message by playing on someone's emotional feelings, for an alcoholic or a drug addict, your efforts are going to probably be in vain. Great example, I can use myself as a perfect example for this. I know exactly what Silkworth was saying whenever he wrote this. Whenever I was drinking a lot, and this is before my wife became an alcoholic, so my wife didn't understand alcoholism. And so there were so many times my wife would say, why don't you just stop? Why don't you stop for your kids? Don't you love your family enough? You see what she's doing there? She was trying to create an emotional response, an emotional connection to where it would make me go, oh yeah, sure, I do love my family enough, I should stop drinking. Or yeah, I do love my kids enough, I should stop drinking. She's trying to connect on an emotional level. The problem with that strategy, and this is why Silkworth writes this, frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. The problem, the reason why it seldom suffices, is because alcoholics and drug addicts, well, they're using and drinking to not feel emotions. So whenever I would be drunk and my wife would come in and say, don't you love your family enough? Trying to connect on that emotional level with me. Well, I was drunk. I didn't feel anything. So that's why Silkworth wrote, that it seldom suffices. You're seldom is very, now he doesn't say never, but he does say seldomly will you be successful at trying to connect with an alcoholic or a drug addict on an emotional level, as long as they're actively using. In other words, if they're high or they're drunk at that moment that you're trying to make that impassioned emotional plea, it's probably not going to work. It could. And again, Silkworth kind of leaves a margin of error there. It could work, but chances are if they're high or they're drunk, those emotional appeals that we are making, they're just going to fall on deaf ears. Now, there have been, we could flip that around, of course. There have been people that I know I've seen where I'm thinking in my mind, there's a pretty good chance they're an alcoholic or they're an addict. And no matter how bad I want them to get clean and sober, they've got to be the ones to make that decision. They got to be the ones to make that choice. I can't connect. And I have to remind myself this on a daily basis. If they're high or they're drunk, I am not going to be able to connect with them on an emotional level in order to convince them that they do need to stop. In those circumstances, and if you read on in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, Bill writes in chapter 7, that's usually when we need to let that person come to a point of sanity anyway. Maybe they're coming off a bender or whatever, and then we make that approach. We start trying to connect on an emotional level to remind him and to trigger those emotional heartstrings, if you will, to remind them of why they may want to get clean and sober. So I hope that clarifies that phrase, especially for those of you who might have heard that phrase before, frothy emotional pill. What that means is it's from the big book, Frothy Emotional Pill Seldom Suffices. Dr. William Silkworth wrote that in 1939, right before the book was published. So it's a good reminder that whenever we get high or we get drunk, we're not feeling emotions. Our emotions are suppressed. That's why we're using. That's why we're drinking. And so that's why people would come to us and say things like, don't you love your family enough to quit? It falls on deaf ears. So I hope that answers the topic or answers the question anyway, and provides a little bit more context and insight. So I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys for letting me come in and share 5 to 10 minutes of your day with you. You guys absolutely keep me sober, and I cannot be any more appreciative. If there's a topic you'd like to hear discussed on these morning monologues, feel free to drop it into an email, Drew, D-R-E-W, at recoveryclassroom.org. You can also message us directly on our Facebook, Recovery Classroom Facebook group page, and send in a topic there, and Drenda, myself, one of us, there's several of us on the back end, we'll get it and we'll see what we can do. So that's all for today. We'll let you guys go. Remember, guys, you can't get drunk if you don't take that first drink.